field just down below, just at the foot of St Giles's Hill.
Yeah, I remember.
With some other people, we were just kind of getting ready to move up there, and him and some other people. He parked his ambulance. He used to have an ambulance. He parked his ambulance up in the bit that got called Smeg Valley, like that bit there.
Did we invent that name, or was that originally?
It got called that later on by people because I can't remember why, but
it's a strange word.
Yeah, he moved on there, and then we came along like a few days later, and we sort of basically set up the camp, and then some people turned up from Glastonbury and they had a teepee. It's like Theo, from Seize the Day.
Yes, that's right, I'd invited him.
And Paul and some other people turned up with it, and they set up the teepee, and that was like the first communal space up there. It was this teepee that they bought.
And do you remember Theo playing the road song, and to the workmen?
Yeah,
and they all gathered round and listened, and we were really impressed.
Yeah,
and it was where they were making a new road in order to go ahead and destroy everything. It was the beginning of the destruction.
Yeah, that was that. I remember that the first time I met Theo was down.
It was the motorway song.
Yeah. Actually, I'd met Theo before that in Glastonbury a couple of years before. But then I met him. It was on the Water Meadows. There was an action. It was probably. It was before. It must have been before the whole thing I was just talking about before. And there was a. Do you remember there was a giant squid? Like there was an inflatable octopus. I don't know who got hold of this inflatable octopus or why, but it was on the Water Meadows. This giant inflatable octopus. It was massive. And I remember like Theo being there. Like he had a mic and there must have been a PA or something, and he was singing like "No One's Slave" and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the first time I'd heard his songs, and I was well impressed.
I think, wasn't this before he came Seize the Day?
Oh,
was he still
this
Heathen Soul?
This is before that, do you know what I mean? This is when he I think this is after he'd written his first bunch of songs.
He was together with another guy. They were a team, and they lived in a manor house near Glastonbury.
Right.
I'd been over to visit them.
But that was, I think that was earlier on when that action. I can't really remember that one. But yeah, that was kind of how we moved on to the Dongas, and like set the camp up, and it stayed really small for a really long time.
Yeah, it seemed so. It was just like a very, almost like a sad, but hopeful. And we had no vision, no idea that there would come hundreds, even thousands of people were going to come.
But for a while we were thinking of something that's been having so much publicity, and that's been all over the papers, and that's been this important issue. Like, where is everyone?
Yeah, but they didn't have a concept
of
direct action.
We were trying to work with the there was the Twyford Down Association in town.
David Croker.
Which was run by some
Bryant.
sort of staunch Winchester locals kind of thing. And we were trying to work with them a bit, and
we had an office.
There was an office.
That's how I got to know them, because they let me have a key to that office.
Right.
Because I had a little computer that I put in there for their use. It's a little Apple Mac actually. And so they gave me a key, so I had access to the computer. And that was how the whole thing of me being able to use the telephone, they said just go ahead, because they were kind of giving up. They were really losing heart.
Because their thing was like fight it through the courts.
Yeah, and that was clearly not going to work.
And they'd spent years of their time and energy and money fighting it through the courts and failed. So they were like.
But they still had this really amazing office in the middle of Winchester, and really a place where people could drop in. And they said it's okay, you can use the phones. I used to use the phones at night when they'd gone away.
Yeah.
Because David was a great stickler for going home for tea. His wife liked to see him at 5 o'clock for tea. Because these are very conservative, wealthy people. They'd no experience of just making do and being a little bit more lateral thinking.
Basically, we just appeared on the scene just as they were giving up hope. And we were like, well, we're taking it onto the land. it's kind of the battle on paper is finished. You know, it's lost. Sort of, and now it's do it on the land. You know, the only way you can protect the land now is to actually be there 24 hours,
So
7 days a week.
For a while we were kind of working in conjunction with the Twyford Down Association and all the people that they had, and they were very impressed by how we were, you know, going onto the land, and quite a few people were wanting to support us maybe at weekends or something.
Yeah, a lot of. I mean, I remember, you know, there was some really good people who used to come up there, and they always come
They
with
were
a bag
good
of
people. They were.
you know,
They
tea
really
bags
cared.
and
Yeah.
supplies
Yeah.
for us. Sort of.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some people I still carry on seeing for quite a few years afterwards, like Chris Gillam, wasn't it?
Chris Gillam, yeah, is a great guy.
He
was very involved with the Twyford Down
he-
Association. He was very, very supportive of the whole Donga initiative. wasn't
He just gave it his all, like.
Yeah, he really did. Yeah.
But yeah, there was all, yeah, it was two really different crowds of people going on, like, you know, but we were sort of trying to.
He was a very good bridge, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, he was just, yeah.
And he also lived in the middle of Winchester, so he was very accessible. And then, do you remember that we had a big gathering on the side of Twyford Down so that we could send messages written on paper leaves that we were tying onto a tree to send it to Rio for the Earth Summit. It was I think it was in the
March,
beginning of '92, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in March '92, and I think that's just about the time. It was just before that we'd moved on to the Dongas, and I remember loads of people turning up that day.
We had loads of people, and I organised some musicians. There was a Japanese musician, a drummer, and quite a few different acts.
Actually, I think that was on an equinox. That was on the spring equinox in March '92. Because I remember, like, the next year we had an equinox gathering, and the year after as well.
But I know it was connected in with getting these messages to
It was Rio de Janeiro.
Rio
wasn't
de
it? Wasn't it
Janeiro,
whole
the
sort of,
Earth Summit, I think they called it. And we were all hopeful that these messages were going to make a difference. I don't know if we really, a year later, we would have sustained that hope, but at that time it was really meaningful to get those messages.
You just grab at whatever opportunities you've got, isn't it? Wasn't David Bellamy that day as well? Was he too?
I think that was another time that
or
he
came. Or else they were talking to him over the.
Oh yeah, I think he sent a message. That's right. There
like.
was a live connection. That's right.
But he did turn up on the scene later on.
Yes, he
he
did.
was there
he
on Yellow
came.
Wednesday.
Yes, that's right.
He saw it.
Yeah.
Sort of thing going on. But yeah, that was the first big gathering up there that I remember, and it had a real. Just the thing of being on the top of the hill there and seeing people gathering up there. From
and
miles
so
around.
many people, and the energy was so high, and it was a brilliant hot day. And I remember I was up with the little concert thing that was going on, and then further down the hill there was this huge circle, and I couldn't get down to it because I was kind of busy looking after the drummer and these other people. And I saw more and more people going to this circle. And then suddenly everybody got up and they just went streaming down the hill. You'd all got a plan.
Yeah. I remember that day because it was the first real sort of party on the bulldozers, you know. Cause
it was the first very strong.
It was down at the
action.
Hockley Lights, at the crossroads,
yeah.
and we all just piled down there, and everyone just got on top of the machines and just was like, you know, stopping the traffic and just.
And also, because they put this culvert, they'd taken this beautiful, fresh, sparkling trout stream and put it in a tunnel under this road that they'd just been building, where Theo had been playing the motorways on. So they'd got this first part of the road, and they culverted this beautiful stream, which I guess it's still in that state, and put it under that road. And so you found a way of flooding the whole site, and they were
that was later. That was a different one.
It was the same time, definitely.
Are you sure?
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure it was the same because everybody streamed down. There was some photographs taken of people who'd been gathering on the hill for that Rio Summit thing, and then causing inundation, somehow diverting the water that was running onto this whole site where they just concreted or they just cemented over, and it was like costing a lot of money.
What was that day? Was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm sure.
Wasn't that the day of the big X? Like, do you remember there was a day when they people did a big X on the
I think
cutting?
it was that the X was that day. I think you flooded the whole area though, and I remember there was somebody in a wheelchair down there being helped to be part of the action.
Right.
It was really amazing, very powerful. And then I think that's when people realised how powerful we were.
Yeah, because what I remember after that was like we were keeping the camp going, and that was kind of, you know, what we were doing was holding a permanent camp, and then people started turning up, like First Earth Firsters started turning up, but before then I think it was like you know, the Greenham women like came down.
Yes, that's right, from Southampton. So there was Angie.
Yeah,
was one of them. And
Blue,
Hazel.
And, yeah, Hazel.
Blue.
That's it. And who was the one who? There was the one who was good with the legal stuff.
That was Angie. Pretty
Right.
sure. But
But
there might
anyway,
have been some others as well.
They kind of gave us, you know, our first real lessons in direct action. So,
Yeah, and they had such a sense of solidarity.
They were old hands at that
Yeah,
sort of thing.
they
so
were
kind of,
terrific.
you know, they really
Yeah,
showed us how it's done, sort of thing, like, you know.
yeah,
And then with them and the Earth Firsters coming down, it started to be
Yeah,
really, like
just
actions on the site.
began to gel.
That was
really.
when that started
Yeah.
really happening.
Yeah. Oh, it was amazing. It was just seeing it grow so fast, and at the same time,
From there on, it's got bigger and bigger. Like.
and at the same time, the Twyford Down Association were kind of giving up, and they
Well, I went to
stopped
their
renting.
last meeting.
Yeah,
I went to
that's
their
right.
last
We had a
meeting.
big last meeting. Yeah, I remember.
And I said something, and now I kick myself now that I sort of stood up and said a few words or something, but I just wish I'd kind of been a bit more full on than I was, you know, because I just got up and said, they were all arguing about like, oh, what kind of tarmac it should be, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, they were at that stage. All right, it's going to happen. So how can we, you know, make it at least bad as possible? What's the least worst kind of tarmac to use and stuff like that. And I just felt I had to say, like, it's all still up there. We're up there, and it's still up there.
Yeah.
And you're all talking like it's all gone already, and it's not gone. It's like, you know, come up and help us and support us and take part in what we're doing. And I said that, but you know, now I wish I'd just sort of, you know, been just given a real rant about it, really. But I don't know if it would have made any difference. But just how I feel about it.
Yeah. Because at the same time, they decided to give up that office to stop renting because it was very expensive.
Yeah, I bet it was. Yeah.
And they just stopped renting the office, and that meant that we didn't have a base anymore, no telephone and stuff. So I began to telephone from my house lots at night, particularly on telephone.
It was a sad occasion, that last meeting, because it was like, right, now we're on our own, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, no more of that.
Yeah.
Because there was some quite important people involved with that as well, and we thought we had a bit of help from on high, you know, and then that sort of felt like, oh, that's not really happening anymore.
Didn't we do well to somehow connect into that in a synchronistic way, so that all those people got inspired from just your very, very small camp? Suddenly there were thousands of people involved.
There was thousands of people involved, but I tell you what, there was never really that many people involved when it comes to actually being on the land. I mean, when at the time, there were times when there was loads of people about.
Yeah, you'd put out the call and we'd have a big gathering.
Yeah. But like in the everyday kind of in between that, there's maybe about 20, 30 people. A good time there'd be 30.
That were there really holding the fort.
Otherwise it'd be 20. Sometimes there'd be even less. Like, but
some real characters there too.
Amazing
mix of people.
Well, I was going to say is like when you compare it to like Newbury and what went on later, you know.
But
like-
they were inspired by Twyford Down.
Yeah,
weren't
yeah.
they?
I mean,
Newbury
it was
was
all
really inspired by
it was
Twyford
all as
Down.
like it all kind of mushroomed out of there, you know.
Yeah,
it's like loads
absolutely.
of others started
Yeah.
happening, and the whole movement got bigger and stronger.
Yeah,
But like, you know, if there'd been those kind of numbers around at Twyford, like there was at Newbury, you know, there was a permanent presence of like hundreds, possibly thousands of people.
well, I mean,
There was like-
Friends of the Earth put all their resources into Newbury. They set up an office. They saw that what a mess they'd made of Twyford Down, quite honestly. And they really saw what an opportunity they'd missed. And it was the Dongers that showed them, really. It was the way that we did direct action that really got through to Friends of the Earth, that they were, you know, their approach was not really
Yeah, it wasn't
appropriate.
working.
It was very middle class.
It was too soft, and just
Yeah.
like giving in and accepting it.
Yeah. Yeah, they realised, my goodness, we're well behind the mood of these people, and I guess they felt threatened by First, who
Yeah,
had this very
'cause they're
clear,
different
strong
tactic, like,
focus.
Yeah. No, but you know, going back to like the numbers of people, it's like on the day when, you know, on Yellow Wednesday when they sent all the guys up, you know, however many security and whatever, there wasn't many of us there that morning.